Hello there, this is Phil Cunningham and Ali Bain, and a very warm welcome to Braemar TV.
We're delighted to be here, and it's the first time we've played here in 32 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
Are you Phil or Ali?
I think I'm Ali.
I'm never sure.
No, neither am I.
Anyway, we're happy to be here.
Lovely.
Hi, my name's Pauline Young. I live in Glenbucket at Strathdon, and I've come today to Braemar Castle with a rare breed of horse called a Falabella. They originate from Argentina. They are a miniature horse. They're not ponies. They live quite a long life. They have a heart the size of a big horse, and they're very strong at pulling, so they can pull 2/3 of their weight. They're used a lot for driving. They can be ridden by very small children, and lately they are used as therapy horses. They've been taken into hospices with children, hospitals, old people's homes. They're very, very well-mannered, good-natured, gentle horses. I think they're well suited to be therapy horses. I bought mine from a lady in Norfolk, Aquilius Falabella stud. She's been breeding these horses for 40 years now to keep the breed alive, because they are a rare breed of horse.
How many are there maybe in the UK?
There's not very many in Scotland. There are quite a lot down south, but from what I believe in Scotland, I've managed to find a lady just outside Dundee. She has 9, and I think there's a lady way up at John O'Groats that has a couple. I plan to breed with mine. I'm just hoping there's a market in Scotland for Falabellas, because they make great pets as well, great companions, and like I've said before, they're very, very gentle-natured.
And you said a tremendous lifespan with the heart.
Yes, they can live to between 40 and 50 years of age, because they have this big horse's heart inside them. And they seem to be quite healthy, fit little horses. They don't really need that much attention other than like with any horse, foot trimming, annual vaccines, worming. But they're very easy to keep, and I just love them to bits.
Hi, my name's Frank Groves, and here we are at Braemar Castle, where I'm showing off my static engine. The static engine is what they used to use in the old days on the farms when they had no electricity. They used to use these engines for shearing sheep, milking cows, and electricity, of course. The engine you can see over here is 80-year-old. It came from a farm in York, whilst the little pump is 100 years old, and it came from Highland, Donegal in Ireland. And the milk churn, which holds the water, came from London Dairies, and not dairy as in Irish, in 1965. Basically, what the engine does, it's a single cylinder, 2.2 litre engine, so you've really got to swing it over when it starts, which drives the pump, which in turn drives the cooling water for the engine. And what I've done is I've taken a little feed off for a little wishing well, because I present this on behalf of Macmillan Cancer Support. And the wishing well is very appealing to the children.
The family stayed in Millview. The house was called Millview behind the Fife. And there was 12 of a family. And while I was on the way, Millview went on fire. There was a wash house next door, and the fire came from there or something. But it was a wooden house, I think, and it was burned to the ground. And there was a lot of young ones, obviously, and we all had to find places to stay with family or friends and that. So my father and I came to Ford Cottage. You came up Linnadeer Road. And Mum and Dad were put there. But as I say, they were scattered all over the village because Millview was burned to the ground. I was born on the 8th of December, 1927. In my younger day, on holidays and things like that, I used to go and work for Bessie McKillop. Bessie was the manageress at P&J Haggart's, who had the shop which is the Taste today. P&J Haggart of Aberfeldy. Previous to P&J Haggart taking over, we'll just call it the Taste. It was Fraser's of Perth had it, and before that was AC Grant of Granton-on-Spey. They had the shop. I left the school at 15 and went to Bessie's. A steady, proper job. So I was an apprentice to the tweeds and woolen trade, which worked well for me when the time came for me to open the Invercalled speciality shop. That was 1963. The war started, of course, and the Coich wood was cut because of the war effort. And they built a large sawmill right in front of my auntie's house at the Coich, Auntie Nell. So a lot of other young lads were offered jobs in the mill because there was well, obviously it was getting better money. I think instead of being 10 pence an hour, it was one and 8 pence, I think. So that takes me back now to working at the Coich. Now, during the war, 4th Commander took over the Fife. The fourth Commando. That was, and they did a lot of training on the hills, mountain training. I got my calling up papers. I must have been 18. And I was sent to the Bridge of Dawn barracks. That was January 46, which was just after the war, of course. And from there, we did 10 weeks training. Latterly, we were sent to Redford Barracks in Edinburgh. And from Redford Barracks, we were sent to Germany, to the Ruhr in the city of Essen. I got demobbed in Germany when my time came up, and the demob place was in York. So we got, that's where we got work suit or clothes and all the rest of the stuff. It happened when we were demobbed. So I got a railway warrant to get, rather than come here, I got the warrant made out to London. And I had a couple of jobs there, bar jobs and things, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. So time came, and I said, well, I think I should go home to Braemar to see the family, or something like that, which I did. And Alec Walker, my brother-in-law, was the bar manager for the new bar which just been built behind Denver called brand new saloon and public bar. So Alec says, oh, I'd been offered this job in London. It was just going to be an ice cream bike I was going to get. And I actually had the things given to me, the things that you use, the sliders and cones and stuff. So this was kind of fixed. So I came back to Braemar, as I say, and Alec was running this bars, this fancy bars. He says, what are you going down to London for? Don't be silly. Come and work with me and you can work in a new bar. So that started it. That started in the hotel business. So I worked with Alec. After having worked in the public and saloon bar, I was given the job of the cocktail bar, which was upmarket a wee bit. So I was in the cocktail bar for a while, a couple of years. So from the cocktail bar, I wanted to be a waiter. So I started work as a waiter, tailcoat and all the rest of it, everything that went with the waiter's job. Eventually, I became head waiter. So I was head waiter for several years at Denver Hall. But things deteriorated a bit, and it was taken over by a company.
Who owned it when you were
It was still Mr. Lamont of Ballater and Mr. Kay of Aberdeen. And he took over the picture house in Ballater, I think, Kay. And he also showed films in the Auchendrain Hall here. Bob Kay. He was very Mrs. Lamont. She said her and her husband ran the Lords in Ballata. Yeah. I was free for a while, and then there was people who worked for Madam, as we always called Mrs. Farkas, and Madam. We always said Madam. So there was this couple who worked at Invercold House. And they knew that Madam was going to open the speciality shop, and they were looking for somebody to run it. So in 1963, that was, I took over the speciality shop. And it was quite good because even after all the years, I remembered working for Bessie and Haggart, you sort of remembered things. So I thought I was doing very well. And I was there for 40 years. Until Madam died. I liked her. If you made suggestions, she would agree. But she would, 10 minutes later, it would be back to what she wanted.
How important is the games in the Highland Society for you?
Well, it was something that we talked about for 1 year into the other. Really. You know, so it'll seem to be the games or you say 6 months to the games. It was such a big affair.
We were speaking to John, the promoter who brought us in here. He was part of the hall committee, and we're saying that it really is very unusual for us to be playing in a new place in Scotland.
Yeah.
Over the years, you know, we've played in so many places, but it's a new one, and I think we've made friends, and I think we'll come again.
Yeah.
And a busy couple of months ahead.
Yeah, we have 35 concerts to do over August and September, but we've been doing that for 32 years. So it isn't getting any easier, but it's just as enjoyable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's your relationship over the 30 years? How has it developed?
It's not too bad.
We've been divorced and remarried several times.
To each other. You know, we both came from big bands. We played in big bands, and I think we knew very early on the importance of giving each other space and how to survive on the road, you know, with a whole lot of people. So, you know, Ali and I were very slick. We both like to be at the airport early. We like to be at the station early. We don't like to be rushing. We just get everything organised and we plod on. And when we get to where we're going, we're not needy of each other. If you know, we do our own thing, and we get together like an hour or 2 hours before the gig, do the sound check, and then.
And we both have this thing where we just love beautiful tunes.
Yeah.
We're not trying to reinvent Celtic music. What we love about it is the beautiful tunes and the beautiful things that means to us.
And as individuals, we have a lot in common as well. You know, we like a lot of the same things out with the musical thing. We love cooking. In particular, we love Indian cooking. So that there's never a day goes by where we aren't chatting, you know, to each other on the phone about a recipe. Or, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? Lots to keep us fresh. But I think first and foremost is we do what we do in the kind of pockets of time in the year that we do, and Ali goes and does his own thing the rest of the year, and so do I. So we both work in television then.
So it keeps the music fresh. If you're doing this every day, it would get stale. But when we do get together, we love it, and it's like the first time almost. And that, I think, is really important.
I think if we were doing it every day for years and years, there would be jail sentences for us both.
Yeah.
How long do you think you can keep on doing it?
Well, I think
Until it stops.
I think as long as our health keeps up. I'm 72, and every year's a bonus, and it is. I'm supposed to be dead according to the Bible, but we keep. I'm feeling great, and so
It's being so cheerful keeps you going.
no, it's just that as long as we're able to play, as long as we have health, then there's no reason why we shouldn't play.
A lot of people ask the question, when will you ever stop? And I reckon that I'll get dragged off the stage by the heels,
Yeah.
Be a wee Tommy Cooper for me.
Yeah, that would be the best way to go, actually.
I know.
Yeah,
It's like in the middle of a stage dive.
yeah.
Our one and only ever stage dive, jump into the audience on the way out.
Yeah, imagine both going together, doom.
Who'll play at my funeral then?
Yeah, that's right.
Vice versa.
Who plays at whose funeral? He's supposed to play at mine, and I'm supposed to play at his bit. So we can't die
Last man
together.
standing.
Well, on that cheery note, thanks for coming to Braemar, and hope to see you again soon.
Always a pleasure to talk to you,
All
Colin.
the best.
Happy trails.
My name is David Geddes, chairman of the Junior Highland Games in Braemar. We're in the Games Arena that is used for the gathering in September, and today we've had Junior Games where the children can take part in all the events that they could normally take part, that adults normally take part in at the gathering.
So you have the sort of all the competitions, the heavies, the hill runs.
Yes, we've had the hill races, we've had all the heavy events, we've had dancing, piping, drumming, tug of war, flat field races and long jump.
Yeah, we sort of the two of the pipe bands here today.
We have two pipe bands, one from Newton Hill and one from Ballater.
And I understand the young gentleman that won with the heavies today, he has a famous predecessor now.
Yes, 3 years ago a chap called Murdo came here from Oban, and he's now competing very, very well in the Open circuit, Junior Open circuit.
And I can see in the background now the Highland Heritage Centre is developing very nicely.
Yes, the Heritage Centre's coming on pretty well. The contractors have done amazingly well. They've caught up almost, I think they're maybe possibly 2 weeks behind, but they're from 16 weeks behind. That's quite a feat.
And a good day and great weather today as well.
Most surprising, the weather. We were prepared for cloud and possibly showers. The cloud came, but the sun also came, and it's been very, very warm.
And a good day had by all today.
A good day had by all, yes. We've probably got 500 people in the park today, which is for the Junior Games is quite good.
I think when I was four and a half, I was about to go to Dowan Hill Primary School in Highbury Road in Glasgow in the West End, and I was at probably preschool or something. I wasn't actually in the school, but I went along, and the teacher who was there gave me a piece of sugar paper. Remember that, sugar paper? And it was grey, I remember, and you had to wet it, and then it gave us lovely soft pastels, and I started drawing, and I can still remember that tactile experience of actually making marks on wet paper and the colour coming through and spreading and everything. I've still got that drawing. The Clydebank Museum had a retrospective in 2013, and that was the first picture in the exhibition. There was 150 works, and that wee pastel drawing, which I've still got, and it was a drawing of my parents and myself and my brother all holding hands. And looking at it from a teacher's point of view, it was quite good. I decided I was going to be an artist, even at that age. When I was 8, and I don't know where I got it from, when I was 8, I decided I'm going to go to Glasgow School of Art. And I told my teacher, Miss Dawn, she's still alive, I think. She's Mrs. Black now, stays in Kilmacombe or Bridgeway or somewhere. And I remember she went round the class and said, right, what are you going to do when you grow up? And, there was all the usual things like lorry drivers and things like that. And I said, I'm going to be an artist, and I'm going to Glasgow School of Art, and I'm going to Charles Rennie Mackintosh's art school. And that was, I can always remember saying that. And that was the start of it for me. And my parents that Christmas, I don't know how they did it because they weren't all that well off. My mother was a fancy chocolate box maker. That's in the days when, they made these chocolate boxes in tiers with ribbons and brocade, and it would take my mother an hour, a couple of hours to build this up. And she always come home smelling of glue. But she, interestingly, worked in Charles Springer's chocolate box making factory a block away from the Mac that is no longer there. Well, some of it's there. But that was another thing that stuck in my mind, that I used to go with my dad, and I'd meet her coming out of work because she was always working overtime and staying quite late. And she used to take me by the Mac, and she would always say to me, "You'll go there one day." And I went, "Oh, right, okay." Not knowing that, you had to go to school and you had to go to, get your hires and all that sort of stuff. So, what was I going to say before? What did you ask me?
Why you decided to go into teaching?
Oh, right. I was just sort of getting towards that, yeah. I decided to go into teaching because my parents, what I was going to say was, when I was 8, my parents gave me a big, huge tin box of oil paints and brushes and a palette, Winsor & Newton. Must have cost them, I don't know how they could afford it. So they always backed me. My father backed me, he was a postman. My mother backed me. I had a grandfather, Henry Lowry, who was an amateur watercolour painter, absolutely brilliant in his later stuff, but he never made anything of himself. And I think my mother wanted me to sort of go on and take over from what he should have been doing. So I just always felt that they supported me in going to art school. A lot of people would say, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to Glasgow School of Art. What are you going to do there? You're going to be a painter? Don't be stupid. You'll never earn a living out of that. And I just always feel they supported me, and I wanted to give them something back. So I thought, well, they always talked about me going to Jordan Hill and getting my parchment, as it was called in those days. So I thought, right, I'll go for 10 years, and then I'll leave. But I got so involved in teaching, which I loved and I do miss. But I just loved it, and that's really why I carried on in it, for 25 years. I used to paint a lot of paintings. I would do something like about 1,200 a year. But that's not big, huge paintings. A lot of them are just tiny little oil sketches, 6 by 6 or 12 by 12. Some of you may own them, and they're lovely little oil sketches, but they're not huge, big paintings. The thing is, nowadays, I've now cut that back to, I'm now doing huge, big paintings, just sold a few recently, 8 feet by 6 feet. And that's the kind of scale I'm working on now. And I'm really enjoying doing that. It's actually really difficult. The style I use, a kind of very expressive style, it's really difficult to paint a small painting. So all those wee paintings were actually very difficult to do and actually took a long time. But I have to say, in the early days, the reason I could paint a lot is because I was in the studio 6 days a week, and I was in there at 7:30 in the morning. I would work till 9 o'clock at night. I don't have that amount of energy now. I'm 70 in a few months, and I'm still quite energetic, but it's gone down about the amount of paintings. But I just love painting. I've got literally thousands of drawings in the studio that will be my 3 sons' kind of pension fund, if you like, because they are the paintings and drawings that I did when I was a teacher. I couldn't stop painting and drawing.
It seems that you find people difficult to paint. Is
No,
that right? Because
no.
I never see any people
Oh no,
in your paintings.
I do. Right. You don't see them in my paintings, and you haven't seen paintings of the people that I paint because I don't exhibit them.
But they do exist.
They do exist. One of these days there'll be an exhibition with all the kind of religious paintings I've done, or paintings of people or whatever. It's just I've just not exhibited them. That's why you've not seen them, basically. But I don't really put what I like doing is, if I'm painting a landscape, I like to paint things that really show the mark of a person who maybe just been there, or you think somebody's going to walk out a door or something like that, or look out a window. So I don't actually like putting a person in. It's just I like to suggest humanity in a painting. I think the colour thing is quite important, and I think it is from my faith. But I think the experience of colour came from, particularly the colour of blue, really came from going to see Marc Chagall's stuff in Paris in 1970. The art school took us to the Grand Palais to see the big retrospective of Chagall's work, and I was just blown away by some of his, not all of his paintings. I was actually quite disappointed with quite a lot of them, but quite a lot of his paintings really spoke to me with the strong blue that he used. But the other thing was, my wife and I went to Dr. Francis Schaeffer's place in Switzerland that same year, I think, at the end of the year, and we studied art and Christianity there, and Maureen, was, being a medical person, went into that with Dr. Schaeffer as well. But that was a great sort of 3 or 4 weeks that we had in Switzerland. But we used to climb up, we had absolutely no money, we had nothing, and we used to go climbing up the mountains and sitting 9,000 feet up in the Alps. And I thought the colour was just amazing. And I think that was the first time ever that I really grasped the use, for me to use high-key colour. Everybody calls it bright colours, It's not bright colours, it's high-key colour. It's strong high-key colour. And you can really express lots of feelings and emotions by using high-key colour, but also the way you place different colours against each other is really important as well. And you can do that exceptionally well with high-key colour. I just love painting, and I love to get something out of it. And if people want to buy them, that's fine. But if they don't, I'll still carry on painting, because that's what I always did. When I was teaching, I was always drawing and painting. I've still got all them because I didn't sell them, I didn't exhibit them. But that's the way it's worked for me.
Hi, I'm Aileen Lawrence. I used to be Aileen Ensley when I was at Braemar Primary School, where we are today, to celebrate us all being 50. We're having a reunion here to reminisce about the good old days. Debbie Marr has come home from New Zealand, and we thought it was an ideal opportunity to have a get-together. And here are some of the people that I was at school with. I'm Tracy.
Yes. Alistair Tate.
Tina Patterson.
Robert McNabb, the cheeky one, and still the cheeky one.
Hi, I'm Debbie Marr. I'm just home from New Zealand, and thought this would be a perfect opportunity to catch up with some old school friends.
I'm Scott Duthie.
Parker was Finnick. Karen Mackay.
I am Stuart Metcalf.
I remember joining the school. I got to join the school at Easter because my birthday was in March. And Karen, she also joined at the same time. And my memory of Karen was after school, we used to go over and sing Bay City Rollers songs with tartan scarves. And that was a great memory of her when we were little.
My favourite day was the day that we had macaroni cheese and curry and rice as a choice.
Yeah.
And you could have both if you went
And
up for seconds.
semolina, and you could choose to not have the prunes in it, because I didn't like the prunes, but we loved the semolina.
There used to be 2 little blue doors. There was blue doors in the school, and when we started, we used to hang on to the little handles because we didn't want to go into the school in the morning. As Tina said, we had great food. Our school cook was called Lena Stewart, and Julie Kilgour, who then took on the school cook's job later in life. But the food was always amazing. I think when we went up to academy, we were like a bit disappointed that it wasn't as good as Lena Stewart's and Julie's food.
Mrs. Shajowski was our first teacher in primary 1, 2 and 3. She lived next door to me, which wasn't good. And I just remember locking her in the stationery cupboard by accident.
By accident?
Well, yeah, because she used to lock us in there if we were naughty, and I locked her in by accident, I think.
We had an amazing holiday one year. Ricky Graham, who was the headmaster at the time when we were in our final year at school, took us to Melrose for a week. And I think Robbie Mitchell came with us, and we had an awesome, fun week with lots and lots of laughs and lots of mischief. And looking back at the photographs now, there was definitely some things that the kids nowadays wouldn't get away with that we'd got away with at the time.
So who's missing from the group today?
Rory Mitchell for one.
Yeah, Pamela Garden.
Brenda Robinson.
David Harriott. Yeah.
Ian Davidson.
Graham Cummins.
Graham Cummins.
Was he in primary school, was he?
I think that's it. That's it.
My memories.
We had the biggest school year.
Yeah,
I think ever in Braemar. This is the biggest school year.
Yeah.
And when we left, the school went from 30 odds to 20 odds.
Yeah, we would have been the biggest.
We cleared it out.
Yeah.
So you think you'll do this again in another 10?
Oh, definitely.
Sure, yeah.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Braemar TV as much as we have. We've had a ball. Thank you very much. This is Ali Bain and Phil Cunningham signing off. See you the next time in Braemar.
And remember, Braemar TV is where it's at.